Now, to talk more on this, we are joined by Mr. Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist, joining us from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, nice to see you again. Mr. Gosling, why has this total blockade by Israel on Gaza, which includes even food, water, and medicine, is still in place? Analysts are saying that the regime is blatantly using this as a weapon to starve the Palestinians to death. And all of this is done by in front of the eyes of the international community. And again, I have to mention, Tony, Mr. Gosling, that the UN, all that is done is just a few condemnations here and there.
Well, this genocide is a provocation, isn't it? An Anglo-Zionist empire is making a chess move here, and tens of thousands of people are dead, and many more are living in fear and now dying. And it's very nice, isn't it, to have the United Nations sounding an alarm. Well, the whole world is hearing an alarm, but who is going to do something about it? The United Nations is charged with this task of humanitarian intervention in situations like this. What is the UN doing? What is the UN up to? Why is it not intervening? Why are the superpowers such as China not intervening? Why are they not offering and suggesting at the United Nations Security Council to intervene here? Well, utter and complete failure by the world community to actually do anything about this humanitarian crisis, which is being instigated by the Anglo-Zionist empire for their own geopolitical goals. Absolutely disgusting. So what do? We have to have more humanitarian aid airdrops into Gaza. We don't let the fact that we have a siege going on here allow these people to die. The Jordanians, the British have aircraft. They can put into the back of these aircraft massive amounts of humanitarian aid, water, food, medical supplies, and drop it into Gaza. In fact, why not? How about some bulldozers that have been bulldozing houses in the occupied territories, bulldozing down those walls around Gaza so that people can get in and out, aid can get in and out without some armed guard pointing a gun at the guy who's driving the truck to save lives, being able to stop that vehicle. So I think we absolutely have to have armed protection force sent in to protect the people of Gaza. If the United Nations cannot do that, the United Nations is almost pointless. Their existence is pointless. This is the massive elephant in the room in Geneva and New York at the UN headquarters, is the fact that they have failed completely to get some protection for these wonderful people, these beautiful people, these humanitarian people, these religious people, these God-loving people are not being protected by the most important institution on the planet, the UN. And if it can't do this, what can it do?
That's right, Mr. Gosling. Mr. Gosling, you also mentioned two of the neighboring countries. So do you also think, like the Palestinians do, that they've been stabbed in the back by some of these Arab and Muslim countries, with a bigger problem that some of them are even helping the Zionist regime in this genocide?
Well, you're quite right. Some of them are. But you see, also, this is a provocation. The idea is that the Israelis want there to be a military intervention by an Arab or Middle East state there, possibly Iran. And they will use that as an excuse to start a war. Remember, you've got a nuclear-armed doomsday cult now installed in Tel Aviv, and any excuse to start a war. Look, let's think about why this happened now. I think in 2023, I think it's happened because Benjamin Netanyahu, who, by the way, is from a political movement which is basically many of the leaders of the Israeli state have been in their history terrorists, and so they've found themselves now in charge of a whole country of terrorists. The people of Israel, through the judicial system, were putting Netanyahu in prison for fraud and corruption, and this has turned up at a time where this has managed to get him off the hook. He should be in prison, he should be in jail, and that's the Israeli people that were trying to do that. He would never dare call an election at the moment because he'd almost certainly be booted out of office. So we're looking at literally a nuclear-armed dictatorship, and the West thinks that it can increase its power by trying to create this massive crisis which it thinks that it can control the outcome of. And so really much of what's going on is focused on this individual Netanyahu. His main aim now seems to me to be to create chaos, as much chaos to distract from the fact that his is actually a failed state, and it's failed to put its political leaders, who are actually war criminals on a massive scale, something that we've never seen since World War II, and he's failed to put them in prison. So the state has failed, and that seems to me to be the big lesson from here. But there must be intervention. There must be intervention now, whether it's aid drops by air or whether it's an armed intervention by the United Nations, somebody going in there to protect these lovely people.
There you have Mr. Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist, joining us from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, it's always nice talking to you, sir, and getting your insight. Thank you for your time.